Hey everybody, I'm Aaron with Hoy Tractor Parts, and today we're going to show you how to change the fuel filter on this little Yanmar tractor. Now there is a common misconception that if your tractor's running fine, then there's no need to change the fuel filter, and that's simply not true. The fuel filter in these engines plays a very important role in protecting your engine against expensive damage. The most obvious thing the filter does is keep dirt and debris out of your injection pump, but it also helps separate water from the fuel. Now water can get in the fuel system many ways, from condensation to a leaky fuel cap, but once it's in the fuel, you need to get it out and you need to stop it from getting to the injection pump. If water gets to your fuel pump or injectors, it can cause flash rust, and then those parts will need to be replaced. The fuel bowl helps separate the water from the fuel because water is heavier and settles to the bottom. As this water accumulates, tiny microbes start to grow on the layer between the fuel and the water. These microbes change the fuel's chemistry and actually make it turn corrosive, and this can cause some pretty expensive damage. The first thing you're going to need to do is get a new fuel filter, and you can get those on our website at hoytractor.com. Just click on Parts, your tractor model number, and then the category of the part that you need. We know that we're going to make a mess, so we need to get a drain pan under the tractor. So this is the common Yanmar fuel filter. Pretty much all of the YM series tractors have something exactly like this. The first thing we need to do is move the fuel valve to the off position, which is where the handle is pointing straight up. Now this valve is a little sticky, which is not uncommon. The best way is just to slowly wiggle the handle back and forth, and you can usually get it moved. Just be careful so you don't break it. And now we can remove the nut. These are sealed with an O-ring, so they only need to be hand tight, but for some reason they're usually pretty hard to get off. So as you can see, the fuel is still flowing, which means our shutoff valve is not working. Unfortunately, this is a pretty common problem also. Usually what I do is just take a pair of vice grips and lightly clamp the hose together. This will stop the fuel and let you change the filter. Now we can just gently wiggle the filter around and pull it out of the filter housing. You'll want to make sure that the metal cap on the filter comes out with the filter. If it stays stuck up into the housing, you'll need to get it out before you put the new filter in place. Now this chocolate slimy looking stuff in the bottom of this bowl is actually the microbes that we were talking about earlier. You need to get this cleaned out as good as you can. There's a couple ways you can deal with the broken valve. You can either just leave it alone and keep using vice grips every time you need to change a filter. You can take those valves apart and sometimes you can rebuild them and make them work again. Or you can just replace the entire assembly with a new bowl and a new filter, which makes it really easy. Since I'm just doing this for a video, I'm just going to replace the bowl and the filter, but if it was my own tractor, I would replace the whole assembly. So now we can start getting everything put back together. We'll start by taking the new fuel filter and sticking it up on the barb inside the fuel filter valve assembly. And then we can install the new bowl with the new O-ring. We'll leave this nut a little loose until we turn the fuel back on. And now we can remove the vice grips, or if your fuel valve is working, turn it back to the on position. You're going to want to let your bowl fill completely full of fuel. And then you can tighten the nut. Just remember, this only has to be hand tight. There's no need to get crazy with it. I know our valve doesn't work anymore, but I'm going to turn it to the on position anyway. And now it's time to start the bleeding procedure. If you haven't tried to start the engine yet, all you need to do is bleed the 2 screws on the fuel filter valve. You just want to let fuel come out until you don't see any more bubbles. Do the left screw first, and then do the right screw. Now once you get the air out of these 2 screws, you should be done and the tractor should start. Now if you have tried to start your engine or you ran your tractor out of fuel, you also need to bleed the injection pump. This gets all of the air out of the hose between the fuel filter valve and the injection pump. Now you can find this bleeder screw easily by just following the hose from the fuel filter valve up to the engine. The bleeding procedure is the same, you're just looking for a straight stream of fuel with no air bubbles. Once you get straight fuel, just tighten the screw back up. Now if you tried to start your tractor or you ran out of fuel, you've probably pushed some air up into the steel injection lines. To get that out, you need to loosen the steel line where it screws into the injector. You don't have to completely unscrew it, you just want to get it loose. Once you get one of the lines loose, pull your decompression lever so the engine spins over easier and doesn't try to start. Then move your throttle to the full throttle position and crank the engine over until you don't get any more air bubbles. And then you can tighten up that line and move on to the next one doing the same procedure. Once you've done all of the lines, then you're done. The tractor should be ready to start. Just remember, if you have any questions or any problems, feel free to contact us. And the best way to do that is through a technical support ticket. Just go to our website, hoytractor.com, and click on Contact Us.